So, in our last video, we explored the unique adventurer known as the Tengu, a character of strong will, determination, and grit, but also that of compassion and empathy. The next port's crewman we will uncover is the mysterious Exile, an individual seeking understanding of themselves and their place in the world, a tale of discovery. With the skill level of 90 dungeoneering, this Garaho can come to port. But before we get into her specific voyages, let's briefly touch on this often misunderstood race. The Garaho are a sentient race of humanoid who inhabit a plane of existence known as the Spirit Plane, a place of highly volatile energy from which summoning can be used to call forth creatures called familiars. The Garaho were accidentally released into Gielinor by the Majorat Bilrock, who was opening portals to aid him in his excavation and protection of Daemonheim. He originally tried to convert them to his cause, but they were appalled by his harsh ways and use of dark magics such as necromancy, and thus sought to defeat him. This hatred of Bilrock can be seen in his book titled The Mysterious Chronicles. This is part 21. It reads,
I hazard to call it a disaster, but something grossly unwanted has happened. One of my portals malfunctioned and a race of troublesome creatures crept through without me noticing. They reverted themselves as the Garaho and they maneuvered against me from the very start. Their culture despises the reanimation of the dead and summoning of demons, it seems. The backwards fools. While my powers are great, they have a habit of keeping out of sight. So I fear this will be a long fight.
This can further be concluded from the mouth of the Garaho themselves, as one of the Stormbringer has this to say. It reads,
The Garaho's greatest duty is to hinder the one who created this place. The Blood Ragers and the Skin Weavers would not say it, but the Sachem agrees with me. The job of disposing of Daemonheim's creator is too much for humankind. The Garaho must intervene.
The Garaho appear like fairly short humans with varying skin tones, stretching from a pale blue to a hue of orange. They have curved, goat-like horns protruding from their heads, solid white eyes, 3-fingered hands with claws, hooves in place of feet, and a lizard-like tail. In Garahian culture, they are not given names, but instead go by titles or paths, such as Skinweaver, Horde-Stalker, and Worldbearer. These reflect their occupation or skills in life, according to this Skinweaver. It reads,
Our actions are what define us, and my actions will always be that of a Skinweaver. So am I defined. Everything we do is for the clan. If a problem arises, a role will be required, not an individual. The individual has no place among the Garaho. Please do not take it as rudeness, but I cannot understand how your world functions with names and individuals, Nave.
The Skinweavers accompany groups of warrior Garaho to recover their wounds. The Horde-Stalkers scavenge for materials and create weapons to protect their assets. And finally, the Worldbearers, whose duties can be explained by this Garaho. It reads,
The Worldbearers are the legs and backs of the Garaho. We bear the provisions, tents, and tools from one destination to another. And when the Garaho are not moving, the Worldbearers prepare and serve the food. The clan sees the Worldbearer as the nurturing mother wolf, proudly defending her pack while carrying the food and delivering it to her pups.
Lastly, as with all cultures, they have their warriors, split into 3 sects. Magic users called Stormbringers, range users called Deathslingers, and melee users called Blood Ragers. And their primary roles are fending off the exiled Ramoki and any other threats within the dungeon. Now that we have a little background, let's head back to port. Sitting in their office, the adventurer remarks how unusual it is to see a Garaho outside of Daemonheim, to which she remarks back that she isn't a Garaho or a Ramoki, and is only looking for solitude, as she is a Worldbearer, yet has no burden. She tells the adventurer to call her the Exile, as that is what the Easterners have coined on her behalf. The Exile wishes to leave as there are too many people at port, and tells the adventurer that she will be heading to the Sunlight Vale, as she has business there. After setting sail, the Exile arrives back at port, but comments that the songs that the Siren sang on the island dredged up painful memories of her past. Whilst resting from the voyage, the Exile hears rumors that a Ramoki has been trading with people in the Hook region, and tells the adventurer that she has been looking for her long-lost brother, to whom she wanted to be a Worldbearer for, since she had no other community. The adventurer tells her that one of his captains has ties to the region, and fashions her a spot on the next voyage. When the Exile returned to dock, she tells that the captain's contacts had been smugglers, and that they would tell her the location of her brother if she helped in an operation where she would need to procure a set of rare jewels for them. In her desperation, she obliged, but to probably nobody's surprise, it was just a ploy for her to take the fall for their plans, and had no idea of where her brother was. She had gone to the island's authorities to report the crew, but to really no avail, as she was now the one banished from ever stepping foot on the island again. Later on, the Exile relinquishes some of her control and divulges some information to the player about her past. She was abandoned by her parents at a very young age, and was not aware if they were Garaho or Ramoki, but a kind Ramoki skinweaver had taken her in and raised her. The skinweaver had a great talent for music, which gave the Exile so much joy and comfort. That Ramoki tribe lived deep within Daemonheim, and were tolerated due to their lack of numbers, as well as making a deal with a shrewd merchant named Harthen, a cruel individual up to all kinds of no-good deeds in the pit of the earth. Her adopted brother was the tribe's only blood rager, and often made exchanges with him while the Worldbearers carried the goods back to the tribe. On one particular trip, the Ramoki caravan was ambushed, and all of the Ramoki were killed, except for her, but she hears that her brother may be working in the Scythe region, and jumps aboard another voyage. After returning to port, she tells the adventurer that she finally found him, and was so happy to see him again, yet shocked how he had turned into a mercenary, bullying others and hiring out his services. She also mentioned that he wanted her to become the mysterious Endbringer, to which she refused, stating that the Garaho had abandoned that role a long time ago, and for good reason. The Exile wanted to know how he had survived the massacre, as she had lied to the player about being with the caravan. The tribe's last task had been to bring strange black stones to the bottom of Daemonheim, but she had heard strange and ominous voices calling out to her in her mind as they descended into the depths. Luckily, she had the wherewithal to hide instead of continuing, but when she finally did muster up the courage to look for her tribe, she only found their bodies. The tribe's Chalum told her to look for her brother, and she agreed to because she thinks he may have been the one to kill them, due to his actions in the Eastern lands. The player tells the Exile that some mercenaries are wreaking havoc in the Isles of Juniper, and so she agrees to go with the ship to try to curtail her brother's violent ways. She later returns to port and tells the player that the animals in the island of Juniper were more docile than the mastics found in Daemonheim, and that her brother was just killing them for fun, rather than for their hides or meat. Her brother told her that a contractor had hired him to kill the animals, and after asking him about the caravan, she found out that he was the one responsible for killing them all. The transporting of those black stones to the bottom of Daemonheim was the tribe's last contract, and after which the tribe would have no longer been tolerated. Killing them all was the only way for him to live. She wants to be with the Chalam again, but the player reminds her that she is a Worldbearer and must carry the burdens of her tribe. The player asks if she was able to get the name of the contractor, and she did. His name was Kakashi. The player asks the Exile how she feels after the incident at the Isles of Juniper, and she says that she is feeling better. She knows that with her brother's death, justice will be served, but she cannot do it because she is too afraid to fight him. She sensed his guilt, but her grief blinded her from the truth. She also cannot fight him because she is no warrior. The player then arranges the Exile to train with the Gu in Ashihama, as they are known masters of combat, and the player feels she would learn a lot from them. The Exile returns to port, saying that the Gu gave her tasks similar to the ones she had in the tribe. She ended up getting impatient as she was not being taught to fight, but was doing their burdens, and snapped when one of the Gu asked her to massage his feet. The Gu told her that she needed to unlearn her past before her actual training could begin, and that she was not supposed to be a Worldbearer. She does not call herself a Garaho or Ramoki, but instead, she calls herself now Hinovi, after a gentle creature from the spirit plane, with powerful strength that it displays if threatened. The player tells them that the Gu would like her to come back and learn more, and she continues to learn from them, as she hopes that one day she can face her brother, and thanks the player for their help. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and give it a like, subscribe for more, and tell us down in the comments what you thought of the story. I'd like to thank my guest readers, mshock5150, Creative Excuses Gaming, Ishtari, and Wings of Absurdity. Thank you guys, I really do appreciate all of your help. That's all folks from me, and I will see you guys in the next one. RuneScape. Forever.